Thanks for tuning into this conversation. It's an absolute delight to talk to Mr. RC Bhargava as he joins in today to talk about, well, I dare say the state of the industry currently, Maruti's role within it, and some targets that Maruti set for itself. We didn't talk to him at the end of quarter one, but usually the conversations with Mr. Bhargava is not about what's happening in a quarter or what could happen moving ahead. Mr. Bhargava, thanks so much for taking the time out, sir.
Welcome.
I would love to understand from you, how is the market as things stand and how would Maruti's role evolve? From a limited SUV presence, now you are a company with a full bouquet out there or a very large bouquet there. How do you see the industry moving and how do you see Maruti's role evolving within that?
Well, as you would understand, Neeraj, all markets keep evolving and changing over time. The automobile market is no different. And one of the factors, or a couple of factors which drove change in the last few years were firstly the COVID period, which created a lot of issues for the industry. And second was the government's decision that we should now move and rapidly catch up with the rest of the world in terms of safety and environmental standards for automobiles. So both these things together, which included the change to BS6 and then subsequent further strengthening of the various things. Today we have the Bharat NCAP being talked about now and it's being introduced. So these things have been happening. The market obviously reacts to these factors. So one of the consequences of this change has been that the growth of the smaller car market, the entrants to the car market and the people who are in the lower income groups, their ability to buy cars has become somewhat diminished. And as a result of that, the growth of the lower end of the market has slowed down substantially. At the same time, the preferences of customers and people with incomes to buy more expensive and more sophisticated vehicles has increased in the last 2-3 years. There has been this change, I think, in many sectors of the economy where the top end is growing faster than the bottom end. And that's what's happened in the car market. The SUV market is growing very rapidly. In the real estate sector, the upper end of the real estate sector is growing much faster. The fast-moving consumer goods find that the more expensive part of the growth is faster than the common man's normal stuff which they buy from FMCG. So that has been the way the market is growing. Maruti has been for a long time a small car manufacturer. And so we had to adjust a lot of our production facilities and our ways of doing work to adjust the shift from the small car market to the SUV market, which we have now completed. We have a whole range of SUVs in the market. This current year, we have about the biggest seller of SUVs. And we expect that as we go along, we will keep our prime position in the SUV market.
Got it. Actually, can I ask a couple of follow-ups that, sir? So let's say
Sure.
ended with SUV. The first question is on that. Grand Vitara is doing very well. From the reports that I hear, Jimny and Fronx, after a very good start, are now starting to lag a little bit. So what would be the strategy, and please correct me if I'm wrong, but what would the strategy be in the 10 to 20 lakh bucket? I can understand above, it's fine, but what is the strategy in the 10 to 20 lakh bucket?
You know, we have these cars there now which are like the Jimny. The Jimny was launched recently. It's become a very, very popular car. The Brezza, especially the upper end of the Brezza, is still a very, very popular car. And the Fronx has a little bit of a competition because of we have products which are very similar to that. But the overall total is what you really need to look at. There will always be customers who prefer one model to the other model. And some models will, over time, come down and the others will go up. So that will happen, but we will supplement these SUVs as we go along. The EVs, which we will be launching not too far from now, will also be in the SUV segment, to start with at least. So you will see that we will have a range of products in the SUV segment. It's very difficult to predict what customers will ultimately do. But we are reasonably confident that with the kind of range of offerings we have and with the kind of brand image which Maruti enjoys and the kind of sales and after-sales network which we have in the country, it will be very difficult for any manufacturer to catch up and beat us over a period of time.
Yeah. Well, no doubts about the network for sure, Mr. Bhargav. Just another follow-up is on this EV piece that you just spoke about. And I heard you say that you will start off with the EV SUV, if you will. There's a lot of question marks about your EV strategy and what will come about. Are you saying that in the initial phase, we might not see say a sub 10 lakh small EV the way one or two of your peers have in the market? You will start off with the large SUVs?
Yes, that is correct. In the initial phase, there will be no sub 10 lakh EV.
Any particular reasons for that, sir?
I don't think a sub 10 lakh EV is going to have a very large market, for the reason that the people who will buy that have other options. And a lot of people in the sub 10 lakh market don't have a condition which is today appearing necessary for an EV purchase, which is to have your own dedicated parking place where you can put a charging device. And if you don't have a charging device where you can park your car at night and charge it, then customers are reluctant to buy EVs because there is a practical problem of when and how to charge the cars on a regular basis.
Sure. I believe you anyways. In fact, it's not that I believe, I know that you've been on record saying that India will not be a full ICE engine moving to an EV engine. It will always continue to be for the foreseeable future a mix of both. Yeah.
I think for a long, long time that's going to happen, partly because our electricity supply system is such that we still for a long time are going to be burning a lot of coal. Mm-hmm. And in any case, it doesn't make sense to promote a device which will result in more burning of coal. On the other hand, we have resources in this country which others don't have, which generate absolutely renewable and very clean energy. I'm talking of agricultural waste, animal waste, urban waste. These are all materials which can produce fuel for the automotive sector, and very clean fuel. In fact, in some cases, carbon negative fuels. So it would make sense for the country as a whole, for the carbon neutrality program, to maximize the use of these other resources and correspondingly reduce the use of electricity. I'm talking not as a Maruti person, but I'm talking as a person concerned with the carbon footprint in the country. And I think that is better served by a mix of fuels than just by, like, if I was Norway or somebody, I would go electricity because all hydroelectric, very clean energy. But unfortunately, we are not in that position. Sure. Our customers also not in a position where everybody can have an EV and have all the infrastructural requirements, at least not for a long time. You need parking space for an EV.
Sure. Okay. Sir, ERD companies from India, tell me about how global large automakers are now making them an integral part, because everybody believes that even if whether or not the car is going electric is one way, but the car is certainly becoming a larger electronic component car as things stand. I'm just trying to understand, where are Indian car makers on this path? What about Maruti on this path of having a lot larger presence of electronics within? And are you looking to partner companies which are specialists in this? How would the role evolve?
Nikhil, has been happening for the last many years now.
Yes.
The percentage of electronic components in a car has been steadily going up over the years.
Most certainly.
Because even with the IC cars, the customers are wanting many features in cars which can only be provided by electronics and technology. And that trend is not going to change. It's going to continue because it gives customers the option of cars which are safer, easier to handle, easier to drive, and more convenient in many ways. So the customer demand, if nothing else, is going to drive car manufacturers to look for electronic growth to meet whatever the customer wants. That is connected cars, cars which can be, you can control a lot of things happening to the car and diagnose what's happening to the car with a good set of electronics. And today, with AI coming in, I think that will become even more.
My question is, sir, in 2 years' time, would a Maruti car look materially different from what it is looking right now? And would a company like yours need a collaboration with a specialist like that in a meaningful way? I mean, Renault, Honda, etc. have done meaningful tie-ups. Do we see Indian car companies doing that? You doing that?
I don't see that in 2 years there's going to be a dramatic change in how cars look. I think that's too short a time horizon.
Okay.
And about tie-up with anybody is something which I cannot at this stage comment on whether we will ever tie up or not tie up. But we have tie-ups with various. We have a collaborator in Japan, a partner in Japan, who has a tie-up with Toyota. Toyota has a great deal of technology available with them. So these are matters which vary from company to company, and each company has to take a decision.
Okay.
How best it will require the knowledge it needs.
Let's talk about your Vision 3.0, both on the overall production and the EV angle attached to it, sir.
The prediction of SIAM for the period up to 2030 is that the industry will grow between 5 and 6%. We are expecting that Maruti's growth in this period up to 2030 will be a little bit higher than the growth of the industry as a whole. And we are planning accordingly. As you're aware, we are already in the process of setting up a new facility in Kharkhoda, where, subject to market growing as we expect, we will create additional capacity of 1 million units. We are in the process of selecting another site somewhere in the country where we expect to put up facilities for another million, again, as I said, subject to the growth of the market justifying additional capacity. And with these additions, by about 2030-31, we expect that our total production capacity will be about 4 million. This 4 million will now consist of vehicles with a number of different technologies. Not only will we have IC and hybrid and EVs and ethanol and biogas and CNG, which so many technologies were not existing earlier. We will also have a much larger number of models. And one of the things which we are now engaged in is going through the whole process of devising an arrangement by which Maruti can, over these years, build up an organization and a structuring of the company, which will most efficiently and in the most customer-friendly manner enable us to produce and sell and service this much larger volume. We will become the third largest car industry in the world. And at 4 million, Maruti will be one of the biggest producers of cars. And what kind of structure we should have, we have not decided at least as to what we should be doing.
Got it. So as we wrap up this conversation, sir, is Mr. RC Bhargava, I mean, you've told me that you will beat the industry growth numbers on the long term. You started off Q1 on a very strong note, much better than the industry growth rates. Would it be fair to say that you are a lot more constructive than than what the industry growth rates would be even for the near term?
As I said, we expect to grow slightly faster than the industry.
That's the long term, sir. The near term?
Even in the near term, I don't think it's going to be dramatic changes anywhere.
Okay. Okay. Fair call. Thank you so much, Mr. Bhargava, for joining in.
Thank you, Neeraj.
Much appreciate your time.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And viewers, thanks for tuning into this conversation.